Okay. Welcome, everyone, to our jam session today. Today, we're going to be talking about Interactive Calculators 101. So who are they? What are they? Where are they? When do we use them? How do we use them? All of the questions. My name is Laura Pound. I'm the supervisor of Global Customer Experience here at Rock Content. I will be moderating today's session. Just a quick intro on me. I do a lot of customer marketing and advocacy initiatives here at Rock, and I was previously on the customer success team doing live experiences. If this is your first jam session with us, welcome. We're super excited to have everybody here. Our content marketing jam sessions are a mix of presentations, they're interviews, they're webinars, and they're all hosted by us at Rock Content. And we feature top marketing experts and innovators. Sometimes it's rock people. It's really a good mix. So each session covers different topics, but they all have the same goal, which is to provide our audience, which is you guys, with advice, trends, and best practices on how to master successful premium content experiences for your business. And I'm excited to introduce you to today's host, Stephanie Mansueto. She is Rock Content's head of content. And here at Rock Content, Stephanie leads our content team. Previously, she was overseeing the Rock Content Creative Services team for many years and worked with our customers to develop some awesome interactive content strategies. So before I pass it over to Stephanie, just a couple of housekeeping items here. Please feel free to share any questions, comments you have in the chat box as we're going through the presentation. We usually answer most of them at the end, so you'll want to stick around for that. And we will also be sending out a follow-up email with the full presentation, as well as a link to the recording of the webinar afterwards. So if you signed up and you weren't able to make the full thing, you'll be able to watch it again via the recording. And I also invite you to connect with us on our social channels too, especially LinkedIn. That's where we post a lot of these webinars and updates. So please feel free to connect with us there. And yeah, okay, no more talking from me. Stephanie, I will pass it off to you and we can get started.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Laura. So we have a lot to get through today. So let's just dive right in. Let's do the dance and get this party started like Carlton. So let's go. So I think, we're going to be talking a lot about interactive calculators today. Like Laura said earlier, we're going to focus heavily on, what are they? Where do they make sense in your content strategy? Some tips on how you can get started with them. And, when are they most effective at supporting the sales conversation and also expanding your customer relationships? But I think one of the best things for us to do here is to take a step back and really define what an interactive calculator is. So interactive calculators, if this is your first webinar with us, we've kind of dived in a lot in what interactive content is. We've shown, descriptions of what interactive content is. We've talked about data collection for interactive content. We've also shared tips on how to build a rockstar interactive content team. We usually start these webinars with kind of like a recap of what was talked about on previous webinars, but I decided to skip that today. So if you feel like you need to dive into the beginning part of interactive content, we have a hub for you. But I think it'll be helpful also to talk about the description of interactive content really, really, really quick. So our description here at Rock Content for interactive content is it is a type of content that fits in your content strategy, but it is a type of content that enables you to have a digital dialogue between your users, so the people who engage with your content and interact with it, and a marketing automation platform. And what that means is that every input, every answer, everything that a user does on a piece of content is surfaced to marketing and sales through a marketing automation platform. So it's collecting data, and that data is valuable. So what does that mean for interactive calculators? So interactive calculators fall into the category of interactive content. And they are interactive experiences that allow users to answer a series of questions. And with calculators, these questions can be either multiple choice or inputs, right? So like users are entering in information. But the ultimate goal is to receive a personalized result upon completion of that calculator. And calculators are often used to calculate potential savings. It's probably one of the most common types of calculators. And this savings can be displayed in either a cost savings or in a time saving. So this is a really common strategy with companies like ours, companies that have software, particularly companies that sell B2B software. We want to show that our product is not only cool and, something fun, it actually has business value. And that business value is in savings of cost, but also savings of time. And one of the things that is really fantastic about Calculator is that it's not just loved by marketers, right? Like interactive infographics, marketers love them, designers love them, sales kind of loves them, but they're not going to get real jazzed up about infographics the same way that they will about something like assessments or calculators. So calculators loved by sales and marketing because they're really great at qualifying customers, capturing usable data, and helping to facilitate sales conversations. I will say that throughout this entire webinar, I say usable data a lot. And the reason is that data is great, right? But if you are collecting a ton of data and have nothing to do with that data, can't use that data responsibly, then it's useless data. I won't dive too much into that, but we have a whole webinar on how to use interactive content to capture meaningful, usable data, because there's a huge difference. So interactive calculators, really cool, great, valuable pieces of content, but they're not technically a new idea. Digital calculators have been around for a really long time, and businesses have been using them for years to demonstrate value. But the huge difference is that the experience of engaging with a calculator, 10 or 15 years ago is a lot different than it is today. So original business calculators, when we would see them, they would often be built in Excel. We've all seen them. We probably have some today. We have a couple that we use, obviously, from our finance team, because finance is going to be the team that always loves a simple Excel calculator, but simple in their minds, right? Not in my mind at all. But there's some things about calculators that are built in Excel that make them not ideal for marketing, right? So one of those things is in an Excel spreadsheet calculator or Google Sheet calculator, anything that is inputted into that calculator, any numbers that a user adds, none of it is captured and saved. That means it's useless to us, right? Like we just made a really cool calculator and spent all this time creating formulas, but anything that happens once that Excel spreadsheet leaves our possession, we have no idea what's going on with it. We can't measure what users are saying. We can't identify trends. It's just a piece of content that we gave away for free. And also, the more complex a calculator is, the harder it is for a user to retain the information. I don't remember the actual data points, so apologies on that. But a few years ago, I read a report, and that report said that people were more likely to retain information that is presented to them if it's paired with a graphic or if it's in a visual format. And I think that we all can agree with that, right? Like if I'm presented with a product, like product features in a video, I'm going to retain that information a lot more than if I were to see a spec sheet that just had features listed. And the same thing can be said for calculators. If you are looking at an Excel spreadsheet like the one that's in this laptop, it's just a ton of numbers, right? Like there's no hierarchy to, what the main point of this spreadsheet is. It's really difficult to create a story arc with an Excel spreadsheet. And that's not the case with something that's more interactive and visual. And then also it's difficult to control an Excel spreadsheet and also update it, right? So like if you have multiple fields that are, or multiple, can't think of the name right now. But if you have, a bunch of formulas running in an Excel spreadsheet and you have to make an update to it, you know how it is. You move one field and you just totally break the entire spreadsheet. And that's, for someone like me, who already is sad anytime someone sends me an Excel spreadsheet that I have to manage, that's going to be a really difficult and painful user experience. Whereas a web-based calculator, it's pretty easy to manage and update. And then for all of us in marketing, it's not branded. So that really upsets us, right? Like we can spend all this time building a really great, valuable calculator in Excel, but once our point of contact shares it with someone, and then that person shares it with someone, and then that person shares it with someone, our brand is lost. Nobody knows who created this calculator. They and probably don't even care, right? So we have a customer that is in the financial wellness space, and they create a lot of calculators on budgeting, and then also budgeting for specific events, right? So like saving for a wedding, saving to buy a house, saving for retirement. And if they had built those in Excel spreadsheets, those are going to be shared a lot, right? Like we're all planning to eventually, fingers crossed, retire someday. So let's say that I got my hands on this really great calculator for planning to save for retirement, and I thought it was valuable. I'm going to share it with my husband, and then maybe my husband is going to share it with his cousin, and then maybe his cousin is going to share it with so and so, and it's going to make this, journey from one user to the next, and the brand that created it is lost. But that interactive version that our customer created, I can't just send a random calculator to my husband. I've got to send their direct URL. So now we have an appreciation for the brand that provided us with this calculator. So really super valuable to be able to have it be branded so that everyone knows, who created this amazing, helpful piece of content. Okay, so interactive web-based calculators are a hell of a lot different than those Excel spreadsheets. I mean, just looking at the two designs, there's copy that's big and bold. We can give weight to key pieces of information, but there's a lot of things that improve the experience. They're easier to navigate. Any data that's entered into an interactive calculator can be captured and saved and then surfaced to sales or used in marketing. We can also gate results, right? So we can require users to complete a form in order to access the results. We'll talk a little bit about that later because, you don't have to gate everything. And there's some best practices around that. But that's a lead gen driver, right? We are able to capture user information within the calculator. We can give them a little taste of their results maybe, and then capture leads. So really, really awesome and valuable. And then we can give key information hierarchies, particularly on the results page, right? Like for an ROI calculator, we're really trying to tell people what their return on investment is going to be. And we can still provide them with a lot of information, but we can give them like a key output that's given hierarchy, hard to miss, so that when they look at the results page, if they abandon the page, really quickly, they still were probably able to retain something. Hopefully they don't abandon it. And then also if a calculator is built into a platform, such as like Ion, the one that we all own, it's really easy to update and manage. Meaning that if data changes, costs change, if, a research report is done and you find out something that you didn't know about, the potential savings, you can easily make updates to that calculator in real time and have it out in the world in no time. And one thing to also think about is if you have an Excel spreadsheet, that's your calculator, you have no control on what is going on once it leaves your inbox, meaning that your sales rep could be using an outdated version of that calculator. Your customers can be getting information from that calculator that is no longer accurate. So having a calculator be web-based and built in a platform means that whenever anyone visits that piece of content, for sure that they are engaging with the most up-to-date version and not looking at outdated pricing or outdated data. And then my favorite as a seasoned marketer is I can launch A/B testing, A/B tested calculators to maximize my impact, right? So we talked a little bit about the gated aspect of creating web-based calculators. That also means that you can launch A/B tests that maybe test out the gate placement, test out imagery, test out first questions or headlines or anything. And that's something that you would not be able to do as easily with a traditional Excel spreadsheet calculator. So it's no surprise to me by, telling you guys the two differences here that we keep on seeing a lot of our customers come to us with old Excel spreadsheet calculators that they felt were evergreen. They've used them for years and they're like, you know what? We just really need to make this look like something a little bit more, beautiful and modern. And that's how we usually start with calculators that we create for our customers. They come to us with a spreadsheet and we turn it into a visual experience. So, not surprised at all. That's how we can go from this to that. And that's why we should. All right. So calculators, a friend to both sales and marketing. Because as you guys know, I think you probably do, that we don't always get along, right? Sales and marketing, our goals are sometimes aligned, but we have two different views on content most of the time. But if there's one thing that we can find that helps to bridge the gap between us, marketing, and sales, it's calculators. It truly is a piece of content that benefits both teams. So I'm going to dive in with you guys right now with a calculator that we created recently. That is a piece of sales enablement material that the marketing team loves and the sales team loves. So this is a value calculator that we created using research from a demand metrics report. And what it is aiming to do is to educate our customers and our prospects on what they can expect by adding interactive content to their marketing strategy. So you can see here when you you hop on, it's a nice headline, big, bold imagery. And then down here, we're saying, how do you measure value? So how do you measure value? Is it in leads generated? Is it in sales revenue? Or is it engagement? So I'm going to say that it's leads generated because who doesn't love a good lead? And then we say, what period would you like to use? So how do you measure it? Do you measure monthly, quarterly, or annually? So I'm going to say monthly. So we measure our leads generated on a monthly basis. And then our next question is, what are you getting? How many leads do you get from content every month? So let's say that I get 500. Wouldn't that be lovely? And then hit calculate. And then the potential, it's real. So it's telling me on the results page that your potential to increase the number of leads that you get is absolutely real. So when we scroll down here, we'll see that it says that your current leads are at 500. So currently I get 500 leads from content every month. If I were to switch to interactive content, my potential is 970 leads, meaning that I will get 470 more leads. And then the cool thing is if I'm like, maybe I didn't mean 500. And then you can toggle here and it'll change in real time. So, and then here we have a CTA to request some information about Ion and then some data from the report. So let's talk about why both of us like this, why sales likes this, why marketing likes this. Well, for starters, marketing likes this. Let's get back in here. Marketing likes this because we are able to capture meaningful data that can help us place users in the right segmentation path based on how they measure success. So if I were to send this calculator to somebody that is already in my marketing automation platform, I've already captured their email. I send this to them in a drip campaign. They log in and play around and engage with the calculator. All of what they just told me in that calculator is now in their profile in my marketing automation platform. So I know Jane Doe at xcompany.com came in and told me in this calculator that she measures success by captured leads and she does it quarterly. And here's how many leads she's getting every single month. Once she got to the results, she played with the slider a little bit and then she went about her day. I now know that I should send Jane Doe emails about lead gen. And I can even tailor those emails to what she told me. So I could, if I wanted to get really, really, really targeted, I could say, hey, Jane, did you reach your goal of 500 leads this month? We wouldn't do that because that's creepy, but we could. And that's going to make that experience so much more personalized to Jane. It also helps the marketing team identify trends based on the input. So if a lot of our customers have really, really, really low leads that they're aiming for, we can write content about how to capture even more leads. Or if their sales revenue goals are really, really intense, then we can maybe send emails or create blog posts or ebooks about setting goals that make sense. So I think there's a lot that you can gain on the marketing team from something as simple as what I just showed you. And if you guys remember, there was only 3 questions. It wasn't really heavy. We only asked them, how do you measure value? What is the period that you measure value in? And what is your current yield? And then we showed them the results. So really simple questions, but we can actually use a lot of what everything that they told us in a lot of different ways. And then sales loves this calculator because it helps them pre-qualify prospects by ensuring that their challenges, their number of their number of leads that they're generating versus, what they need to do, align with our core product offering. So if they're looking to increase engagement, we know that we should talk to them about interactive content because interactive content increases engagement. If they're looking to capture more sales revenue, we might talk to them about pairing calculators with some other type of content as well to create a more cohesive, motivated content strategy. Or if we know that they're looking for higher qualified leads, we might actually recommend specific types of interactive content that convert better. So it's just a really good way for sales to understand what our customers need. And if you're trying to sell Ion on our side, it's a really great way to demonstrate flexibility of our product by also providing value. So we truly loved this calculator. It's been really, really valuable to our team. And if you saw, we didn't gate it. It's available for free. We had on the final page the request to get a demo. So if someone lands on that we've never spoke to before, and they ultimately go on to convert to request a demo of our product, our sales reps can tailor that demo based on what they told us, right? If they said that we measure value in lead gen, our sales reps are going to have a demo that focuses on content that encourages lead gen or encourages people to convert. And we also will send material about conversion rate optimization. So it's just a really flexible and high quality experience. And our CRO here at Rock Content, Matt Doyen, he says that calculators help get honest answers to the necessary and often complicated questions that sales needs to ask during the discovery process. If you think about what happens in the discovery process, we want to make sure that we're not wasting your time, that you're not wasting our time too. We offer a product and service that's going to help solve your problems. But to be honest, and I can understand, not everyone wants to give us all of that information early on in the sales cycle. Tools like calculators kind of break down that barrier and put the prospect in the driver's seat of, what information they're going to get. They're more willing to tell us things. They're more willing to input honest things because the platform is providing a value to them. So if you think about, if I were to ask you during a sales conversation, how many leads do you generate a month? You're probably going to be less excited to tell me about it because you know that I'm just going to use it to sell to you, right? But in an interactive experience, that is a natural way where you are in control and you can put that information in for an immediate response. So it just really helps us have better sales conversations and make people more likely to give us information. How are we doing on time? All right, not so bad. Not so bad, actually.
Yeah, you're good.
I know. I always feel like I just yappity yap. All right. So let's dive into the different types of calculators because there's a lot. I mean, there's so many different types of calculators that we probably won't even, I'll miss out on a few of them. And also how to use those kinds of calculators. So some of the more popular types of calculators that we see our customers create are ROI calculators. At least one in every 3 of our customers has an ROI calculator in mind right now that they want to create. And that's just because everybody wants to demonstrate the ROI of their product or service. I want to demonstrate the ROI of me, like we all want to show that we are worth the investment, right? So cost and time savings calculators also super important, especially if your product is something that someone is going to use to scale, their whatever. So those are really, really valuable, especially for software and SaaS companies. We see a lot of B2B companies use those as well. Total cost of ownership calculators, also incredibly popular. Budget calculators, I had mentioned one from a customer of ours that's in the financial wellness space. Those are very, very common, and so many more. I mean, we've seen customers create, total cost of acquisition calculators. I can't even think of all of them. There's so many different types of calculators, and it really just depends on your business. But there's hundreds of kinds. So let's first talk about ROI calculators. And as I said, arguably the most popular kind of calculators that we see. So ROI calculators, we really see them used often in software and technology, and also in B2B companies that are looking to showcase the return on investment of their product, because there's a lot that probably is going into purchasing their product, but overall, in the long run, we want to show that you are going to get a return on that investment. And we really see ROI calculators effective at any stage of the customer journey, but they really are used more often during the final stages of the sales cycle. We see a lot of our sales reps send them to our point of contact, so that the point of contact can share it with their boss, whoever has buying power. And not necessarily in those early stages when people are still trying to figure out what the challenge is that they need to solve. But definitely super effectful and impactful as a sales tool. And most of our customers that build ROI calculators offer them ungated. They are usually part of a larger product offering or content offering, such as a return on an ROI calculator paired with an ebook, or an ROI calculator paired with a white paper or product sheet. But they're not usually gated. And the reason being is that there's usually very few questions that you ask, and you wanted to provide the value, because the value, if you're able to show a really strong return on investment, people are going to go ahead and convert. If they don't convert, if you ask for the lead too soon in an ROI calculator, they don't really know yet that it's worth it. And so they may end up abandoning. So we just don't see a lot of gated results on calculators. We usually see like that second piece of content as the lead gen driver. So what you would need in order to create an ROI calculator is you would first need to determine the gain of investment. So a gain is an increase in price or value of something currently owned that was purchased at a lower price. And then the cost of the investment. The total cost of investment includes acquisition costs for a product or service. And this information is needed in order for you to determine the ROI. ROI calculators are really difficult for a lot of our customers when they're first getting started with it, because there's a lot that has to go in, because you want to make sure that you give an accurate result to your user. So it requires just a little bit of research beforehand, capturing a bunch of information on what something is going to potentially gain. For us, we've done countless research reports by having conversations with our customers on, how many leads on average do you get? How much of those how are you able to attribute revenue to your interactive experiences? So you can see, like, depending on your product and service and the way that you capture and store data, you may need to do a little bit of digging to get that gain of investment figured out. Cost of investment, super easy to capture. But these two pieces are incredibly important in order for you to give an accurate result to your user, because you don't want to guess, right? You don't want to provide something that's not true. And that's something that's really important. So these two things cannot skip this part of creating a calculator. Okay, the cost and time savings calculator. So a cost and time savings calculator is kind of similar in an ROI calculator, where you're trying to show potential savings, but we focus on the potential cost and the potential time a little bit differently. So here's two different questions that you would ask if you had to create these two calculators. So if you were trying to demonstrate the cost savings of your product, you would ask a user, what is the average cost of an IT repair? So obviously we're a IT vendor here. But if you were trying to show time savings, you would say, how much time does your IT team spend on repairs? So these are the ways that you would ask. So here we would be able to say that by partnering with us, you will save, I don't know, let's say 30 hours a month on of your team's time. And time equals money. So you could potentially even say that that means that your team can now work on X instead of this, which is also cost savings as well. Okay, total cost of ownership calculator. So total cost of ownership calculator it's going to vary based on industry, product, and audience, but I went ahead and created this overview here, trying to say what it would be for something like us, which is a B2B software, and what we would need to capture in order to create a total cost of ownership. So total cost of ownership takes into account the initial cost. So the initial cost is the number that appears on the price tag. How much does it cost to purchase this product? Any operation or implementation. So cost of installation, testing, training, things like that. And then maintenance, so cost of repairs, maintenance, including unexpected repairs. So you can see what we're trying to figure out here is what is the total cost that I can expect to use this product and service over the next, we're not talking about, what the return on investment is. We're not talking about, potential savings. It's just the total cost that you can expect by using this product or service. And that includes implementation, right? So and training. How many hours is my team going to need to invest in order to become experts in this platform or service? So like I said, you can see that if you're not selling software, then this isn't exactly relevant to you. Your total cost of ownership breakdown would be a little bit different. But we're seeing so many customers come to us and want to create TCO calculators because their customers want to know, look, I get what the sticker price is, but I need to know the all-in price, right? How much time am I going to spend training my team, or you're going to spend training my team? And then what about the customization, right? The initial cost, got it, subscription fee, great, whatever. But now I need to know, I need to add this API, or I need to add in training, or I need to add in labor costs of downtime. So who's going to handle that? So I want to know, if I were to use you guys to handle, I don't know, if things break and go down, or if I need to purchase services, what is that going to cost? So these are really, really valuable especially for B2B companies, because everyone wants to know the full scope of work, the full scope of pricing. And we continue to see these just grow in interest from our customers. So those were only a handful of the bajillion trillion types of content pieces, interactive calculators that you can create. So where do they exist in our strategy? So I hate to say it again, because I know I just said it. I know I just said it a second ago, but where a calculator sits in your content strategy is also going to vary on the type of calculator and your customer journey. I went ahead and I put in here our customer journey and the customer life cycle that we think about with our customers as an example, right? So a customer that has an awareness that they need to capture leads, increase sales revenue, increase engagement, bridge the gap between sales and marketing, but they don't know yet exactly what that means. They're in the awareness stage. And that's where we start to send them information about interactive content, information about content marketing, tips and tricks on how to become a better content marketer. They're not yet into us, right? They're just kind of aware. They maybe are reading our blog, maybe they're attending our webinars, but they have not yet figured out what they need to do in order to get those leads, get that engagement and all that stuff. Then they become interested. They complete a form. They maybe they download an ebook to learn more. Then they start to evaluate us to see if we can solve their problem. The evaluation may be they're looking at other products like ours to see which one's better, or they're requesting, more product specific content. Then they go into that decision negotiation. So they've decided that they know they want to use us. They know they want our product. They start negotiating with our sales rep of what that might mean. And then they move eventually to sales. So they sign, they're a customer, they start their onboarding, and then we, go to expansion to hopefully expand them into more products, and then win back if they decide to leave us, which they don't, because everybody loves us. But this is our customer life cycle. So where do calculators sit in the customer life cycle? So I'm going to use me, even though I'm not a customer of us, but I'm going to use me. So let's say during the awareness stage, a calculator can be incredibly impactful because I'm trying to figure out what is my problem and how much will, oh, wow, that was a typo. How much time, how much money and time am I wasting on this problem? So like if my problem is I just am like, why are all of my leads unqualified lately? Like what is going on? What can I do to get higher qualified leads? And I find a calculator that says, how much time are you wasting on leads? And it says, how many poor leads do you get every month? Or what is the percentage of leads that you get that are unqualified? And then how many hours do you spend creating content campaigns that do not attract the right leads? That can tell me, hey, you're wasting 10 hours a week on chasing the wrong leads, or you're spending $5,000 a month on content production that is not having an impact. So that would be incredibly valuable to me in terms of really getting a scope of what my problem is. And then let's say that I move to interest, right? I start to be aware of the problem. I find content that helps me determine that this is a problem. I am spending and wasting a lot of money on capturing poor leads or unqualified leads. And so then I start to go into the interest and looking at more things to find out how I'm going to determine whether or not I need to move forward. So here we're going to want to know what the upfront costs are so that we can share it with our boss. And then as we continue to further get into the funnel, we're going to want to evaluate the product. I want to know how much it will cost compared to other tools. So a really good calculator here could be like comparative calculators where you enter in your total investment and it can show you what other tools might cost, or how much it costs for me to continue doing what I'm doing versus getting this product or service. And then if I'm like, you know what, you can save me money, you can save me time. What I'm doing today is not working. I'm wasting money. I'm wasting resources. I need to move forward with this product. At this stage in the decision and negotiation stage, I want to know what are the potential discounts? What are the potential savings that we can negotiate? So what other things do you offer? Let's make a total cost of ownership calculator so that you can truly tell me what I need to spend in order to get the most bang for my buck. And then when we move into the sales cycle, that's when we can really start to look at our ROI, and I can always be sharing it with my boss, right? Telling my boss what I'm going to save. And then once I become a customer, it shouldn't end there. We all know that we should be creating content even for our customers because that's how we expand our customers' buying with us. That's how we expand the relationship. That's how we grow. It's a lot easier for us to expand an existing customer than it is to acquire a new one. And so here I want, as a customer now, I want it to be easy for me to create packages, to get quotes for additional services. And so having tools that I can self-navigate, not having to always talk to a sales rep to build something, to get an understanding of how much something might cost me, that is a really helpful calculator. And also showing me, creating calculators that show me so that I have no doubt that I've made the right decision, that I've got the right tool, are also really, really helpful. And then going back, like let's say that I decide that I can't renew, right? I cannot continue on with this and I need to just break off this relationship. I'm probably not going to hear the last of you, right? Like more than likely, you're going to eventually try and win me back. And a calculator that would be super helpful at this stage is demonstrating to me how much time and money I have lost by leaving and what I can be offered to return. So I think that it's pretty clear that there are a lot of really, really great options for creating calculators. But one of the most is something that we kind of touched on a little bit earlier is that, buyers rarely reveal their intent early in their buying journey. Calculators are effective at encouraging users to provide more information about their goals, budget, and intent much earlier in the buying cycle. And it all depends, obviously, on what type of calculators that you're looking to create. But if we think about what you saw in that ROI calculator or that value calculator that I showed you guys, this one right here, we were able to, and I'm just going to go ahead and start us over on the beginning part of it. Let me delete this part here. We are able here to easily identify how a user measures value. And that's something that maybe our customers would tell us when they're first getting started, because there's no harm in telling us that. But getting into the gritty of like, how many leads are you generating this month? Or if I were to say revenue, what is your monthly revenue? Sometimes we have customers that just don't want to give that information up front. They're just like, I just want to see the product. I don't want to talk about these things. But telling us those things help us provide value to the customer. It helps us share with them the true way that they're going to be able to use our product effectively. And getting that information can sometimes be difficult. But with a with a product like this, with a calculator like this, they're more likely to give us information in a way that is natural and doesn't feel that it's only going to be used to try and sell them, right? So being able to capture this information in a natural way, and so we can get back to the results, is going to have a huge impact on the sales cycle, because the sales team is going to have more information from the customer earlier on in the deal. And ultimately, if they come here and they put all that information in and then they convert, all of that information is passed along to our marketing automation platform. And so it's just a really smart way to get users engaged and to give you honest information. So that is actually all that I have today. I think that's the first time that I've ever finished before the hour is up. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that you guys are super excited to have a calculator added to your content strategy. I do want to say that next week, no, it's not next week, I'm sorry, the week after, we have 2 webinars that week. So one of the webinars, I'm going to be interviewing this lady here, Melanie Diziel. She created this book. It's called The Content Fuel Framework. That I believe is on the 28th. I believe it's the 28th. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong about the date, but I'm really excited about that one, because we're going to really talk about how you can add different types of content to your content strategy and how to get stories, how to generate stories naturally. And then I have another webinar that week that is diversifying your content strategy. So stop creating only one type of content, stop creating only blogs. Like, how do you weave these in to your content strategy? So I don't think we actually have any questions today, do we, Laura?
No, I think this is actually one of the first times we don't have any questions. It's just extremely clear.
I don't like that yellow, how that yellow displays on my skin. Okay, so that's fine. That is fine. I'm just going to go back to the white. So totally cool. If you guys do think of any questions about calculators, best practices, things that you can do to launch your next calculator, where to get the information. We have obviously a huge resource library of webinars like this that dive really deep into some of these things. And then also you can feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever you socialize. And we will be happy to share some resources to help you guys create really great, effective calculators. Thank you for joining me today, Laura.
Thank you.
I love webinaring with you.
I know. Likewise. Thank you for the great presentation. Calculators are my second favorite experience after quizzes.
So. After quizzes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.